All right. I call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We will begin with roll call. Art student representative Margaret.
Here.
Awesome, thank you. Business student representative Hunter.
Here.
Board of Governors representative Dhruv.
Present.
Education representative Tiana.
Present.
Equity representative Tiffany.
Here.
Indigenous representative Molly.
Here.
Student of African descent representative Atik.
Here.
International student representative Darren.
Here.
And science representative McKenzie.
Here.
Awesome. President.
Present.
Vice President academic.
Here.
Awesome. Vice President external affairs.
Present.
Vice President residence affairs.
Present.
Vice President's finance and operations.
Present.
All right. We have Anna, the Board of Governors representative, absent with regrets, as well as Sean Ryan, the U's general manager, who is absent with regrets, as well as Vice President of Activities and Events. Kira is absent with regrets. Yeah. Awesome. All right. I'm going to move into the land acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqey peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1725. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqey title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. All right, like I said, thank you everyone for being here today. I really appreciate it. We have a lot to get through today, so I'm just gonna get started. All right. So first we're gonna begin with the motion to approve the agenda. Would someone like to begin this motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
All right, would someone like to second this motion?
I second.
Shoot.
All right, we'll go with the T seconding that one. All right, I'm gonna call the question. Oh, sorry, would somebody like to call the question?
I would have to call the question.
All right, we'll be voting to approve the agenda now. All those who would like to abstain, please raise your placards now. All those who would like to abstain.
All right, I didn't mean to.
Right. All those who would like to oppose, please raise your placards now. All right, the motion passes 11-0 with Anna being absent. So she was not voting. All right. We're now going to move into constituency reports. So if Margaret, you would like to start as the arts representative?
Yep, just 1 second here, trying to find my constituency report.
That's all. I just noticed a point of procedure, which I failed to do. We also need to approve the minutes. So sorry about that. If somebody could motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. And would somebody like to second that?
I second that.
Thank you, Darren. Would somebody like to call the question?
I move to call the question.
All right. Motion to approve the minutes. All opposed, please raise your placards now. And all abstain, please raise your placards now. All right, the motion passes unanimously. Now we can move into constituency reports. Sorry about that, folks. Margaret, is everything ready on your end?
Yep, everything's good. May 21st, we had Committee on Studies, Faculty of Arts, and we talked about some course proposals, as well as a proposal from the Aqua program. I was also appointed to the Governance Review Committee with Anna Hansen, so I'm really excited to get started on that with everybody. On June 3rd, I attended the MOU consultation with everybody, and we talked a lot about boosting mental health supports and increasing the number of study spaces on campus, which all sounds really exciting for the future, so I'm looking forward to that very much. Joint Committee on Studies was June 4th, and we talked about the PEEP proposal and some academic integrity policy and procedures. And finally, I also attended the Quality of Life Committee, and we talked about the strategic plan for the subcommittee. And I put my name in to work on the first year experience committee and the experiential learning committee. So I'm sure I'll be hearing from Elizabeth Yo and Jacqueline Delabec soon about getting started working with them. And that's everything on my end.
All right. Thank you, Margaret. Does anybody have any questions for Margaret at this time? All right. We're going to move into Business Student Representative Hunter. Hunter, if you would like to start.
Okay, so the Emergency Grants Committee met twice this past month. We gave funds to students in emergency situations, which Brendan will talk a little bit more about. We also just met and discussed our application and how we can make it better. Joint Committee on Studies met. We discussed the PEEP proposal, reviewed the academic integrity policy. Meredith, Margaret, McKenzie, and I met to discuss edits we could submit as well. In the Quality of Life Committee, we discussed the student end of the strategic plan. Elizabeth appointed me to the Mental Health Subcommittee as well. And in the Academic Priorities Planning Committee, we discussed the strategic plan consultation, and I sat in on a consultation session to help better facilitate sessions in the fall.
Thank you, Hunter. Does anybody have any questions at this time? All right, thank you. We're going to move into Board of Governors Representative Dhruv, if you'd like to begin.
Yeah, sure. So it hasn't been a really crazy busy on my side. But I had some committee work along with our board. Really well, like they were really interested in Nova Scotia to build a good force. And that's it. That's not a lot.
Sorry, is it? I don't know if it's my computer not working. I think you might be glitched.
On my side, but if you guys have any other questions, please shoot me an email or just incoming like hello.
You're cutting up from me too, Drew.
Yeah. Sorry. If anybody wants to maybe look over Drew's report, I know he sent it out, and maybe you can shoot some questions his way after council, just due to technical difficulties, if that's all right. I think we're just going to move forward to Education Representative Tiana, if you would like to start.
Yeah, of course. So it's been a busy couple weeks for myself as well. I accepted an offer to be a part of the Library Strategic Planning Committee, so I'm really excited with that. I've already gotten in some connections on there, and so that's on top of my Xavier and Publication Board Committee, Joint Committee on Studies. So yeah, that's really exciting. It'll keep me busy. I sat on the hiring panel for the Research and Policy Associate position, which was really great. Confident that we found the best candidate for the job there. So really excited about that. Yeah, still keeping active with Facebook, sharing the use agenda and other developments with the university. I know things have been really hard for our Indigenous community here on campus, so we're outreaching with that, which I encourage all of you to do, is really send your support and see what you can do for those in our community who are really, like, it's taking effect for a lot of people. So I really encourage everybody else to do that outreach. And I have had a bit of a discussion here, which I think I'd need to talk to Brendan about with the financial concerns that I've had among my constituencies, which is basically around being charged, having these charges with a student account, which are not valid. These services were not valid due to COVID restrictions. So I'm really talking about recreational facility fees. It's a significant amount for a lot of students here. So I was just wondering, putting it out to council, seeing if there is something that can be done, if we could start a conversation about that, just to see what can be done about this past year, and if it may have effect this coming year as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. Other than that, I think that's all I really have for my report this season.
Thank you, Tiana. Awesome. Brendan has a question for you. Go ahead, Brendan.
Yeah, thank you. Just kind of speaking on the recreational fees, I can definitely look into that a little deeper if you want me to, because I know that's definitely something a lot of students have, they're concerned about, because it's just fees that get put on that a lot of students don't necessarily understand. My only thinking is that it could be for maintenance purposes, just to keep the facilities running. But I'll definitely do a bit of digging and see what the breakdown of that fee is and where it's going.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Tiana at this time? Awesome. Thank you, Tiana. We're going to move forward with Equity Representative Tiffany.
Hi. So for External Affairs Committee, there wasn't any meeting so far. For Equity Committee, we did meet up, and I recruited a student at large just to help represent like women on campus, as well as students of African descent. So I was excited about that. Let's see what else. Yeah, we met on June 18th, and it was just a very brief intro. I voted on who can be chair for that committee, and I also received the social. So I was hoping to introduce the equity committee on Instagram and stuff, and I also do hope to raise awareness on certain social justice issues, as opposed especially with what Tiana mentioned before with Indigenous affairs and it being Pride Month and everything, and just mental health and all the sort. I haven't done anything for hiring panel yet. Other business, I just attended the meeting that reviewed the MOU, and I also just boosted the representation that students in Govs, Apartment Style, and FX Hall, especially for XFest and stuff. So that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. Does anybody have any questions for her at this time? All right. We're going to move forward with Indigenous Student Representative Molly, if you'd like to begin.
Hi, guys. It's glad to see all your faces again. Happy Indigenous Month and happy Pride Month. I really am happy about all the support that Indigenous people are getting and everything like that. It means a lot. I get really emotional talking about it, so I might choke up at some point. So just letting you guys know. But yeah, I've been working with the library and the staff with working on those issues. They're hoping to make it more, make everything more decolonized here, and working with the Indigenous students. There's a really beautiful memorial near the Cody Institute with a whole bunch of flowers and memorial for the residential school survivors. There was one by the church as well up here. So yeah, I just really appreciate everybody's support. It means a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Molly at this time? All right. Yes. Thank you, Molly. All right. International Student Representative Darren, if you'd like to begin.
Yep. So, all right. So I'm just opening my report. So for equity committee, as like Tiffany said, we met and then we had our first meeting on June 18th. And then we also had meeting with the health and dental insurance plan committee. And we discussed and then kind of agreed on certain stuff with the dental and health plan. And other than that, we also did the statement for the London attack where like a Muslim family was murdered. So we had meetings for that. And also I was on the hiring panel for the off-campus leaders for the upcoming year with actually Sophia. And we hired 2 people there and they're great. So yeah, I guess that was all in general. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you,
And
Darren.
also, I have one question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will be like really related to here, but I was wondering, do international students have like, you know, family doctor access or anything like that during the summer or spring? Because I think Canadians have, but internationals doesn't, but it's the same amount of, actually more amount of payment we do during the summer that I was wondering that. I don't know who I would ask.
We're going to do a presentation, and Brendan can help answer some questions about that.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. We're going to move forward with student of African descent representative Atik, if you'd like to begin.
Can you hear me right now? Could you guys hear me? Okay, I'm just pulling up my report right now. So, this month wasn't really that busy. Regarding the equity committee, we met on the 18th, I believe. Unfortunately, I missed that appointment due to work obligations, but I followed up with Naomi and I got caught up on the notes. Yeah, I also spent time reviewing the MOU package. Again, I got caught up in work obligations, so I couldn't join the meeting, but I read through everything that was going down. I did not sit on any hiring panels, and there were no meetings for campus affairs committee recently. And other business, I created my own social media platform for the Student of African Descent representative. And again, I'm planning to make a post to introduce my position and start to actively post on that page. And yeah, that's about it on my part. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Atik. Does anybody have any questions for Atik? All right, we're going to move forward with Science Representative McKenzie, if you'd like to begin.
Alrighty, hi guys. Just as a counselor, I joined the meeting on the MOU and I thought it was super insightful, and it was really great to be able to talk to Elizabeth and kind of just go over the MOU from last year and see what applies and what doesn't apply for this year. And then as my seat on Senate, I continued my work on the academic priorities and planning, where Hunter, Meredith, and I volunteer as facilitators for consultation groups. Really looking forward to being a part of that throughout the school year and help facilitate some consultation for students. I forgot to put it in my constituency report, but I'm also a part of the Joint Committee on Studies. And outside of those meetings, Meredith, Hunter, Tiana, I think, and Margaret and I had a discussion about the integrity policy, and it was really good to just go over some of the documents that are going on in these meetings on our own, just to get insight and kind of get up to speed with what the faculty and staff have been looking at for a little while. And then in other business, I've been working in the PSC, so it's been really great to be able to talk to some faculty and also talk to some people who are going to be running the Chemistry Society next year and just kind of get some ideas on how I, as a student rep, can kind of get more involved in the societies and things like that on campus, just to get a better connection with my constituents.
Awesome. Thank you, McKenzie. Does anybody have any questions for McKenzie at this time? Nope. All right. Do we have any business arising? Nope. Okay. We're going to move forward. We do not have any business arising, so we're going to move forward with exec reports. Jack, if you would like to start us off.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Nice to see you all, even though it's virtual. Yes, it's been a very busy reporting period. Yeah, I guess like the whole team really started to get underway as like the first kind of reporting period is a lot of training and really getting everyone into their positions. So it's been a busy last few weeks, that's for sure. So I'll just run quickly through a couple highlights. But yeah, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to let me know. But it's all in my report here. So yeah, COVID-19 MOU. Meredith and I are continuing to kind of touch that up with Elizabeth. As soon as they make a pretty like large communication to students about that, we'll be also putting out a bit of a draft MOU that will continue to kind of edit up until most likely August, where it'll be finalized and signed. We also been meeting with like an external company called Reese. It's an online platform for reporting sexual violence. And so we have shown some interest alongside with the university that this might be something we might want on our campus to really just help out with that aspect of our campus. So we're still looking into that and seeing if that's something we can pull off for this fall, which would be nice. We had a meeting with the province and the university surrounding the MOU between all the universities in Nova Scotia and the province. Ben and I were there and it went well just hearing about any updates that they'd had for us and going over some things for that. Meredith and I met with Nimbus. We kind of learned a bit about the administration side of the app and talked a little bit about how we really kind of wanted to promote it to students this fall. We do kind of want to make a big call out for tutors for specific classes that some students have requested tutors for before and we didn't have any for at the time. So we're going to look more into that. For Students Nova Scotia side of the things, Naomi Staubert is now the secondary delegate to represent St. FX at Students Nova Scotia, as Ben Fairhurst was voted in as the chair of SNS, which was super exciting. From there, and we're getting ready for a provincial or federal election most likely this year. So we're starting to look into some ideas for Get Out the Vote to really promote the elections to students and make sure that the students' voice is being heard in those elections. On the CASA side of things, Ben and I, so CASA is the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations. So that's where we advocate federally to the government. So we had our Digital Foundations conference, went really well. And looking forward to meeting with them again in July. External to my portfolio, I spent some time with Kira and Sean hiring the new bar and events manager for the Inn. I believe that person will be announced soon, which is very exciting. So really looking forward to really getting involved with the Golden X Inn this year and seeing what awesome events we can put on as we kind of hopefully ease it out of the pandemic. Met a little bit about student advocates with some of the other executive members to see how we can make them more accessible to students. And we're going to be getting really underway on our annual plan next week, which is very exciting. Yep, the Extern Committee finally met for the first time. And I've met with Nathan and Ailey a few times to really go over the Extern policy and look at exemptions for students and to see how we can make that policy a little more just easy to read for students. And that's about all I have to report on for now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Does anybody have any questions for Jack? All right. Meredith, if you'd like to start.
Hi, everybody. Most of the info's in my report, but I'll pull out a couple highlights and then talk about some stuff that didn't make it in. OERs, of course. This is the first of many conversations about OERs, but I've been doing a lot of work with them lately, meeting with different faculty to talk about them and just kind of like starting the conversation or continuing the conversation on campus. The exec team did a marketing fume to kind of like talk about ways we could make the use Instagram more fun and just kind of like more interactive and engaging, or not just the Instagram, like kind of our socials in general. So that was lots of fun and we've got some good ideas. So keep your eye on the Instagram. A lot of the student senators have already mentioned the committees that have met. We did APP, Joint Committee on Studies, Committee on Studies, Faculty of Arts. The first SOC meeting happened as well, which was super exciting because that committee plans orientation week. Stuff that wasn't in my report, we had the first, or like the introductory session to the MSLC conference, which is the Maritime Student Leaders Congress. I think that's the acronym, but it was great to just kind of like see other student executives in the East Coast and I don't know, just see the other faces that are doing these jobs as well. On Wednesday, I facilitated a preliminary consultation session for the academic plan, and thank you to the counselors that came out. Shout out to Tiffany, Hunter, McKenzie. I think that's everybody who made it. I'm really sorry if I'm forgetting someone who did. I really appreciate you anyways. I also reached out to Aaron Austin, who is like the kind of person who coordinates the professors union, and I'm going to try and arrange some professional development sessions for the faculty about OERs. Jack mentioned Reese, which is the online sexual violence reporting website that we're trying to pull in hopefully before fall. And lastly, I officially accepted, I'm so sorry, an OER fellowship, which is going to be super fun and interesting, and it's going to help me like learn about OERs and hopefully be better equipped to do more work on them this year. And that's everything.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Meredith at this time? No? All right. Heavy OERs today. Yay. All right. We're going to move into Vice President External Affairs, Ben. If you'd like to begin.
Yeah, all good. Sorry about that. How's it going, everybody? And if you got tired of OERs, I'm sorry, because you're about to be hearing a crap ton about them. So it's been a heavy period for sure. A lot going on, and like a lot of like meetings on the external side, like a lot of government stuff going on. So it was a really good time, and like I'm definitely gonna pull out a few of like the big highlights that Jack didn't touch on here. So he said a bit about CASA. Yeah, like we got to meet up, see like all the other kids that are doing like VP external and president stuff like all across the country. Got to pick like our board of governors too, and we got a few East Coast kids on there, so looking good. And then I wanted to tell you guys a bit more about like the Santa Fe town and county update. So our team got together, we sent in some feedback, and that's basically like the plan, all about like being good neighbors. So like how landlords are treating students, how RCMP are treating students, like the whole reentry plan for students, and like who's going to be living where can you self-isolate kind of stuff. So we got to send in feedback from the student perspective from what we saw in the plan last year, and then got to speak to them a little bit more. And then I also, like, this is going into something else, a little bit of OER stuff. So firstly, was invited to sit on the strategic planning committee for OERs with the Council of Atlantic University Librarians. So that was fantastic, and basically meeting up with different members of faculty and different librarians from all over the Atlantic, just to basically speak about how we can really get OERs onto our campus and like how to get past those institutional barriers. As Jack was talking about, get out the vote. So starting to talk to people all over the place, like different student leaders at different schools, just basically like taking tips and tricks so that when once like the provincial election gets announced or federal, we'll be in a good spot to get the student voice out. And then one of the last things I really want to add from my portfolio, which was a really big deal for me this morning, was last week got a message saying from the executive director of Students Nova Scotia, asking if I would be willing to present like an OER presentation for all of the labor and advanced education department this morning. So that was with all the other post-secondary universities in Nova Scotia. And we got 10 minutes to talk strictly to government about OERs. So that was fantastic. So we're going to continue working with the government to kind of build like an influential and like well-researched like policy proposal so that we can hopefully get some free textbooks on our campus soon. And then the last thing I really want to touch on that I think Tiana was talking about a little bit earlier too was that research and policy associate hiring. So we got some interviews down, and yeah, it was just a great panel. Really, really happy with the name that we're putting forward for ratification today. And yeah, I think that's about it. for me this week. So thank you. And if you guys have any extra questions, like, feel free. I'd love to answer them.
Awesome. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Ben? All right. Okay. Vice President, Resident Affairs, Soph, if you'd like to get started here.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I had a pretty busy month with a lot of setbacks with some SUCL hiring. So basically, due to a high number of first-year applicants, we're going to delay until the fall to do hiring. And I'm also looking at how we've done hiring. So I'm trying to see if we can improve on our current system in any way, because we have an interesting year ahead of us with less upper years returning to dorms. I also, however, I did sit on a panel to hire off-campus SUCLs, so we're putting 2 names forward for ratification today from the panel. I ran an O-Week t-shirt contest in order to get some crowdsourcing for some t-shirt designs, because we don't have SUCLs that are going to be designing t-shirts. We had 2 SOC meetings so far, and I've really enjoyed sitting on that committee and getting to have a little bit of input into orientation week. I also sat on the FSLC committee and talked about food on campus and the renovations to Meal Hall, which was really cool. I've been meeting with the Residence Renewal Advisory Committee as well. And I'm also on the staffing and training working groups for the residence renewal, so I've been working with both those teams. I've also been looking at the structure of house points, just on a smaller side of things, and editing those up and giving them some changes. I also had a preliminary house hockey meeting, which was super fun because I haven't really looked at the other side of house hockey. So that was really cool. I sat on a couple fumes with the exec team, including a social media fume, which Mayor mentioned. And she mentioned to look out for the Instagram, but also look out for the U official TikTok. Really excited about that. And yeah, everything else is in my report. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm in the office for the first day ever tomorrow. So I'll be in the office for the rest of the summer if anyone ever wants to come by and ask any questions. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Soph. All right, VP FO. B-Rob, if you'd like to take it away.
Sounds good. She is our TikTok manager. Yeah, so hi, everyone. Yeah, most of what I said is in my report, but I'll give a quick little recap. It has been a pretty busy reporting period. In terms of hiring, no new positions for my portfolio have been hired, except our organizer, special events, and promotions coordinator position has gone out. So that's just to help assist myself and Sean with securing sponsors for a week. So if you have anyone who you know is good at sponsorship packages or reaching out to people or likes to talk to people, tell them to apply. It's $15 an hour job for 30 hours a week. So during the summer, so it's pretty good job. The SFRC, our summer hours have been set for Thursdays and Saturdays. And they've also been updated on our website. We're receiving food shipments from multiple different sources in terms of donations. And the SFRC's garden has also, we've been putting soil on it and stuff. You might have seen on the Instagram that we've been kind of doing some work there. We have a thorough application. Yeah. So yeah, so that's pretty much the garden. We're going to be planting some stuff in there, hopefully early next week. Health and dental plan, I'll be giving a presentation or more of a rundown, I guess, just on the health and dental plan for the upcoming year later. So I'll touch on that. Annual givings. I finally sent the annual givings out from all the applications from just this past year. So they've all received their funding. I also included an appendix at the end of my report if you want to see specifically how much different groups got. You can do that, or shoot me an email if you have any questions. In terms of my committees, yeah, the Emergency Grants Committee, we met twice, as Hunter said. So we've so far dispersed $800 out of our $15,000 that we have budgeted. I do want to just make a note that we have been receiving a lot more applications over the past few weeks than normally this committee receives in the summer. So I don't want to say that's concerning, because obviously we are trying to support students in emergency situations, but it's something to key in on, a note that we are already spending or providing funds for students in the summer months. So it's just something that we need to keep an eye on. The health and dental plan committee, I already said, I'll touch on that later. And then Jurassic Scholastic Thermoplastic, which has been rebranded to Recircle. So I'll be changing that name in my next report. We've been having weekly meetings with them. So myself and Sean, we've been meeting with their team and some people from the university, and then also just some outside members, just to kind of talk about what the plan is going to look like, and sort of just to help clarify sort of the partnership between the university, Recircle, and the U. So that's kind of been where we are with that, and we're just kind of working on how that communication connection is going to work between the three different organizations. If you have any questions directly related to Recircle itself, I included Adam's email there, though it might be outdated now that it's not DST Plastics anymore. But yeah. Other than that, I guess I'm also going to be giving an update on the in renovation later, so I'll wait to touch on that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, B-Rob.
Thank you.
We are still working on ratifying, hopefully today, fingers crossed, ratifying a faculty advisors, so there will be no faculty representatives report today, as well as Sean Ryan is absent with regrets at his son's graduation. So we don't have any report from him. So we're going to move into special reports, just in the interest of time, because we do have a fair amount of heft. I will be kind of making sure that we stay within the 15 minutes that has been allotted for each one. At about, with 5 minutes remaining, I am going to give everybody who's doing their presentation a heads up. That might be verbal, depending on whether or not my screen is being shared. Yeah, so the first one we have on our plate today is the Golden X in renovation update. B-Rob, would you like me to share my screen for that one, for your presentation?
Yeah, sure, that'd be easier. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. All right, it's not really giving me that option right now without leaving.
I can do it.
Sweet, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I just pull it up 1 sec. Is everyone, Naomi, are you okay if I just share I can't find the actual whatever version, so I'll just share the PDF version. So just.
Sounds good.
Okay. Here we go. Alrighty, so yeah, I will. Okay, I guess I can't zoom. Oh yeah, here we go. Come on. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I'll just be giving a quick little update just on where the Golden X in Bloomfield Reno update is. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask them throughout the presentation. I can't see anyone right now, so just, yeah, feel free to jump in whenever. And yeah, don't worry about any of that. So just quick overview. I'm just going to be touching this very short presentation, just really an update. I'm just going to be talking about where the project finances are, some space transformations that we should be seeing come September, moving forward, and then just end discussion or any questions that anyone has. Oh no. Okay. It's not working. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, not sure what's going on, so I will just talk about it instead of this. Stop presenting. Okay. Yeah, I'll just, it's not coming up, so I'll just give a kind of rundown on it. In terms of the project finances, myself, Sean, and Julianne met with 3 banks initially, RBC, Scotiabank, and TD, just to get proposals from them on where, kind of where we're at in terms of getting a loan. So initially we were looking at a $1.5 to $2 million loan for the renovation, and that would be on top of any contributions that we'd be making as an organization. So with that, we kind of found that the interest rates for these loans are a little higher than we thought they were going to be. And then another big factor that we had to take into consideration is that a lot of the banks were asking for a sign off from the university, basically guaranteeing that we would be able to pay that off, which the university obviously would have no intention of doing that because we're a separate organization and they don't want to take the fall for a $2.5 million project, even though, you know, as an organization, we are quite stable, but, you know, that's not how they see it, and they need to do what's best for themselves. So we explained that to the banks, and now we're down to just 2 banks. So we're down to Scotiabank and RBC. So we're really going to be just trying to talk to them and figure out which bank will offer us the better loan. We did lower our loan range from 1.5 to 2 to 1 to 1.5 million, just because we realized that if we stayed at that high number, we were going to have to be paying this loan off for 10 years plus. And that's just not something that we were really interested in doing, just because that's such a long time. And we thought it would be too long. So we're looking at more of a 7-year term loan at about $1 to $1.5 million. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of the finances for the project. And then also, you know, as we go on, we're going to be receiving funding from different sponsorships and promotional funding. And we're also going to be running a few different capital campaigns to receive funding. So there will be lots of funding, and we should be able to do this project just as well as we were thinking. But, you know, it's with any renovation, you start big with your big wish list, and you have to narrow down to what's practical. So with that, my second point, I'll just touch on kind of what's going to be new in terms of the spaces of this renovation. So there's 3 kind of big, or 4, I should say. So the first is the inn. So that's going to cover obviously all of the in space, and the patio is going to be renovated. As you may have seen the pictures, we're going to be working with the architects to redo some of the design ideas, just to make sure that they align with, you know, what students want and what the Golden X Inn pub kind of is supposed to be. The second space is we are creating some gender neutral washrooms within the student union building, or the sub, just for obviously accessibility and equality purposes. The third space is going to be the movement of the SFRC from the basement of MK into the back half of what was PharmaSave. So a wall will be going up in PharmaSave. That wall, small renovation is going to be $60,000. And then that money is going to come from the renovation budget. So it's going to be splitting the PharmaSave in half. Half of it will become the SFRC, and then the other half will become our new convenience store. So the SFRC, having it in that new space, is really going to just improve kind of the traffic flow, accessibility of it. It has windows, which is nice, and it doesn't smell like the basement of an old building. So, you know, it's not that we don't appreciate the space that the university gave us, but it is nice to be able to move into our own space. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at for that. And we are going to be introducing, we're going to be buying some of the big glass fridges with glass front doors for people, so you can kind of see the things that are in the fridges and things like that. So that's the SFRC, and then the convenience for you. So really what we're trying to bring here is we really want a new source of income for the student union. So that's kind of the partial thinking of it, is it's just another moneymaker for us as an organization, but also it provides student jobs on campus throughout the year, which is another big thing. And we'll be able to sell, like, really it's up to us as an organization, it's up to our discretion, so we can really sell whatever we want. So we're really going to focus in on what students want. Like, we're not going to try and sell all the like small toiletries and random things like that. We're really going to try and stick with the big, you know, chips, drinks, might even sell wrapping paper for joints, possibly. That idea has been thrown around. So that could be, you know, just things like that, because we really want to, you know, we were trying to engage students. So that's, it's, you know, we're really trying to be open-minded with it. So that's kind of where the spaces, the space that are going to be renovated and kind of where they're going. And then just in terms of moving forward, so initially this project had been projected to be completed in the summer of 2022, which would be this upcoming year. Unfortunately, and again, with renovations, we didn't really realize how extensive of a project this was going to be. And it came back to the cost again. We don't want to, you know, we're trying to stay within our means as an organization. When we realize, you know, we're a smaller student union, we don't have some of the same funding that a lot of these other big ones do. We need to stay within our means. So part of that is we want to wait for this year so that we're able to bring in some of the student fee that we're generating from the referendum that we held last year, so that we'll be able to save that money, so that we have a bit more cash on hand when that renovation comes. So the renovation will start on the inn this coming summer, but it might not be finished this coming summer. So just really quick, just kind of a timeline, just to sort of help people visualize it. This summer, like the one we're in right now, we should hopefully have the convenience store and the SFRC moved, and should all be done by this summer, so that students will hopefully see some changes. And then going into next summer, we should start the renovation right in April May, once students leave campus. And there should never be a time, in theory, we've planned it so that there should never be a time when students are on campus during the school year when the inn is closed. The inn will always be open for students during the school year. That's just one big thing we really want to note on. Just trying to see if I covered anything or missed anything, rather. Yeah, that's really it for me, I think. One thing I should mention, we are going to be moving into phase 2 of the renovation. This is a big part, actually. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. We're moving into phase 2 of the renovation. So we just actually there was a position for a student at large for the phase 2 committee on our website a few days ago. And basically, all that means is phase 1 finished. Phase 1 was looking for a company or an architect firm to help support us through this project. And also just kind of see what we wanted this project to be. We've done that, so now we're moving into phase 2, which is financing and settling what the designs are going to look like before we move into construction. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at in terms of the renovation. Does anyone have any questions about like the financing, any of the spaces that we're changing, you know, where we're going to be going moving forward, anything? Awesome. Oh. Always perfect timing. All right. Well, if there's no questions, thank you everyone for your time. I'll pass back to Naomi.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, B-Rob. We're going to move into OERs with Mayor. Mayor, would you like me to share your presentation? Okay, I can't hear you, but I think you said what I thought you said.
Sorry, that's okay. I think I can screen share it on my end.
Awesome. Okay, and I'll just send a little message when you've got 5 minutes left.
I don't think it's going to take anywhere near 15, so we should be good.
All right.
Can y'all see my presentation?
Yep, it's looking real fresh.
Thank you. I can, but it
looks great.
Okay, so I was going to give this presentation Sunday, and so there would have been a slightly different context because of the academic plan consultation sessions that were happening, but it's okay because I still wanted to introduce you guys to the concept of open educational resources. So this will just be kind of like a basic introductory session to what they are and why they're important. And then in the fall, you best believe I'm going to be coming back to you and talking to you more about going to consultation sessions to talk about OERs. Okay, so agenda. We have some bonkers facts about textbook costs. Then I'm going to tell you what OERs are and what they typically look like in the classroom, why we don't already see them everywhere. And then the last little bit of the presentation would have had a little bit more context for Sunday, but again, it's fine. I'll still walk you through it. Okay, so some facts about textbooks. So the first one is not specifically about textbooks, but there was a study conducted on lower income students, and they found that per $1,000 tuition increase, lower income students were 19% less likely to finish their university degree. And that's relevant to the price of textbooks because the average cost of a textbook is $90 times 10 courses a year is $900, which is just about $1,000. So there's definitely an argument to be made for the cost of textbooks really putting a strain on lower income and honestly all students' ability to fully participate in their university career. Also, we did a survey just this spring to our own St. FX students, and 14% of students reported not buying groceries or changing which foods they bought because they needed to afford textbooks, which is 14% too much. Students should not have to change their food or not buy it at all because they're trying to pay for their books, especially when there's a solution. So here's just a little bit more about the results from our survey. The big ones that really struck me were the 14% who won't buy groceries or change which groceries they buy. 10% said they would not pay a bill or pay it late. 14% said they wouldn't be able to engage in activities that involved spending money with their friends. And 25% said they would complete a course without the required text. I know I've done this, and honestly, it's kind of crazy because you're paying $8,000, $9,000 for these courses, and you should be able to fully participate in them. Okay, so what is the solution to this big problem? OERs, which stands for Open Educational Resources, and OERs are any openly licensed teaching and learning material. So those are a lot of fancy words. Openly licensed is just a way to say that the copyright license associated with that material is open. So it can be shared, there's no limits on who can have access to it. You don't have to pay any money to see it. It's just available to anybody, but the person who wrote it still has the rights to it. It's still theirs, but anybody can see it. And teaching and learning material is exactly what it sounds like. It's literally anything that is used to teach or to learn. When we're talking about OERs, we usually mean textbooks, but it can be anything from podcasts to articles to videos your professors will show in the classroom. Okay, so in practice, what do OERs actually look like? So if you've ever had a class where the prof is like, oh yeah, just follow this link in the syllabus, it's probably an OER. Most profs don't use illegal textbook links. So it's probably just an OER, and I'm sure you've really appreciated it when professors do that because it's super nice when you don't have to buy your book. Okay, so what is the problem? Why don't we already have these all over campus? OERs are a really complicated issue, and there's a lot of infrastructure and institutional policy changes that need to happen for OERs to be used more often in institutions. But some of the big reasons are a stigma associated with them. So a lot of faculty still believe that OERs aren't necessarily as high quality as other books, or they're just especially more traditional faculty just aren't really used to the concept of another textbook that's not offered by a publishing company. A huge one is lack of awareness. You'd be really surprised at how many faculty just don't really know what an OER is, or maybe have heard about it but haven't ever had the chance to look into it. They're also fairly new, and especially like these past couple of years, as technology has really like become much more prevalent in the classroom. They have gained a little bit of popularity, but they're still pretty new to the scene. Another reason is a lack of coordinated effort. There are a bunch of different ways you can implement OERs, but nobody's really doing one thing consistently or coordinating it. It's kind of just like a mess of like a bunch of people doing little things and it's not working super well. A huge one is switching over takes time and money. So this is something that I think students can often forget, but like when faculty are teaching a course and find an OER that fits it, they do need to take the time to go through that book and to switch their course materials, maybe to alter their notes, which I think ultimately is worth it for the benefit to students, but is still like, I don't know, it is something to ask of faculty. And finally, the big reason I want to tell you guys about is not enough push from students. I've had conversations about OERs with faculty where they genuinely say to me, is this something students actually want? Like, do you guys really care about this? Which obviously to us, the answer is yes. We've all spent like $200 on a book we never opened. But there needs to be more vocal students on campus asking for these things. Okay, which is why I want to talk to you guys today. So obviously I'm just introducing the concept so you're more familiar with it. And I would have asked you to go attend the academic plan consultation sessions. But there will be more in the fall and I will come back to you with that. So I'll just keep rolling with this. The academic plan, actually, I haven't told you about this yet, is a plan that the university is writing, which is actually our first one, and it's going to guide the academic direction and priorities of the university for the next like 5 or 6 years. So this is actually a very big deal because the things that are on the academic plan are the things that St. FX is actually going to focus on. So if we get OERs on the plan, St. FX is actually going to put time and money and manpower into developing OERs on campus because they've committed to it in their plan. So that's why it's all very important that we go to those sessions and like really ask for them. Consultation is a driving force in the development of the academic plan. So the academic plan will be written by a committee of Senate, APP, and one of like the main thing informing the plan will be consultation that's done with faculty, students, and staff. So that means we need to go and ask for OERs. There's no other way to do it. Okay, so these were the sessions that were on Tuesday and Wednesday, but there's going to be more in the fall, so not to worry. And then I think I'm going to save kind of talking to you guys about how to ask for OERs for a bit later. But just kind of generally, when you're asking for OERs or stuff like this, you don't need to go in there and like know a lot about them. You don't have to like use jargon or anything. Just talk about your experiences as a student. If you've had a class where you've bought a big book, you didn't really use it, whatever, talk about that. If you've used an OER before, talk about how much you really liked it. It's wonderful if you ask specifically for OERs, but if really all you can relate to is just like affordability concerns as a student, that's also great. Okay, big takeaways from today. OERs are basically free, open, and good quality textbooks. The cost of textbooks affects students in a very real, very negative way. It puts a strain on student quality of life and disproportionately affects some equity-deserving groups. They're pretty new and face a ton of barriers. One of them is a lack of awareness and a lack of students asking for them. Finally, if you think OERs are worth asking for, a very important and influential academic plan is being written this year, and there will be consultations about it, which I will tell you about when the time comes. And that's my presentation. I don't know how to stop screen sharing. Okay.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Meredith. Does anybody have any questions for Meredith? B Money. Awesome. Feel free to speak.
Yeah, this is just kind of more, I guess, personal information, or maybe some people don't know this either. Who actually sets like what textbook students have to buy? Like, does the prof of each class say like you buy this book, or is it like the department, or?
It's kind of technically the professor does it. because of something called academic freedom. Every professor is entitled to teach their class the way they would like to teach it. But there is kind of an unspoken rule among faculty who are teaching the same course. For example, Chem 100, they all agree to teach this or to use the same book, which makes sense because you want to be teaching a consistent class, which is actually one reason why implementing OERs in those courses can be tough, because you need all of the faculty to buy into it.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you so much, Meredith. Loving the OERs. Oh, McKenzie might have a question. McKenzie, feel free.
I just had a quick question. Have any of the discussions that, I guess this could probably go out to Brendan as well, because he's been in a couple of meetings with the Maple League, like of Atlantic universities, have you guys are they involved in the OER process as well, or like push for OERs?
Yeah. There's been discussion about it at the Maple League. Tiffany McLennan, the VPA of St. FX, I think 3 years ago now, is very interested in OERs, and when she was working for the Maple League, started a bunch of stuff. So it is something that's on their radar, but it hasn't really been anything significant.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew, for your input as well. Mayor, would you like to address the question?
Okay, first off, Darren, your point is actually a very, very big, huge point, and I will make sure I bring that up when I'm talking about them, because I didn't even think about the currency exchange, but that's huge. And then, Drew, your question, are there any plans for collective push movements from all student bodies across Nova Scotia? Ben might have a little bit of a better answer for this than me, just because he works with the external bodies. Okay, Ben, yeah, you can.
Yeah, first off, Drew, great question. And I can tell you, yes, there is. So the issue is that it's a very multifaceted issue where there's some the Atlantic University librarians really want to get going on building the online site, and the students want it on their campus. So one thing that I'm working on right now with the executive director of Students Nova Scotia is reaching out to all the rest of the Atlantic provinces and establishing groups of student leaders or student champions for OERs, so that we can really get the conversation going within every single school, so that we can have a group together push. So that's kind of the first step, and I'll definitely be bringing some more information across as that committee can get set up and really get some people put forward for that. But yeah, there will be, and if we can get government funding as well, then that'll really bring a lot more institutions together in the push for OERs, because the more collaboration there is, just the better quality these textbooks are going to be. So yeah, really something we're working towards. Thanks for asking that.
All right, thank you, everyone. I think we're going to need to head to our next presentation. Hunter is stepping out as well. He has given me his proxy votes. Thank you for coming in today, Hunter. Awesome. All right, so our next presentation is a budget presentation from DST, which Brendan briefly introduced. It's a guest speaker. We have Adam coming in to speak to us directly today, so that's really awesome and exciting. Adam, would you like me to share my screen for your presentation today?
No, it's all good. No, yeah, I actually have a revised presentation ready to go.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Lovely to see everybody. Forgive me if I'm a bit slow. I'm currently battling a sickness at the moment, but doing my best anyway. Awesome. Okay, so without further adu, I guess good afternoon or good early evening, everybody. Very happy to see some familiar faces and some new ones. So I'm super excited to present some of the major updates and milestones that DST, which is now rebranded to Recircle. Thank you for mentioning that, Brendan. That we've accomplished in the past year and then in the recent months. But for this presentation, I'll just be referring to the business as DST just for simplicity's sake and for those who have heard about it before. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Adam Starr. I just graduated from Sandvex last year in the business program with a major in marketing and a minor in philosophy. I've had the privilege to build this company from the ground up, and I couldn't have done it without the unconditional support from the university, various entrepreneur incubators, my mentors, my previous co-founder, Maxwell Gauthier, and then my first and my two full-time employees who are actually Sandvex students, which is super, super exciting. So the objective of today's presentation is to shed light on where we have come and then describe the fruitful partnership opportunity with the Students' Union, Sandvex, and DST. And I just got to say, you know, this is a super exciting time for this collaborative opportunity, as this business and way of recycling is, you know, the first of its kind in Canada. And with the Student Union's help, we can actually recycle all of Sandvex's plastic waste and reach a zero plastic waste economy right here on campus. And just throughout the presentation, it's around 11 minutes, but I really do encourage anybody to ask questions throughout the presentation by either raising your virtual hand or just jumping in. I'm definitely a fan of just jumping in, so yeah, please, whenever. So 91% of Canadian plastics are landfilled because waste management companies cannot recycle the contaminated and unsorted plastic that they're collecting. But the plastics that do get recycled are shipped overseas for other countries to deal with, and our government pays for that. Now, this linear supply chain and lack of recycling infrastructure prevents a $7.8 billion value recovery opportunity, which forces our manufacturing sector to rely on importing plastic from other countries. Now, 2 years ago, I had the privilege to see the plastic crisis firsthand. I traveled to Ghana, West Africa, and as a Canadian, I was surprised that there were no waste management trucks coming to pick up our trash. Rather, we had to burn our plastic to get rid of it. Now, this is the case for many developing countries, as 80% of ocean plastics comes from the countries that are the most impoverished by Western plastic. But I found a solution in Ghana, a community-based solution that I'm now inspired to bring to Sandvex and scale it across the nation. But I also saw a problem at Sandvex. Less than 3% of Sandvex's plastic actually gets recycled. And the university spends $140,000 a year to landfill 600,000 pounds of plastic. And I figured this out after volunteering with the current waste management company, GFL. But DST is disrupting the plastic recycling industry by vertically integrating every level of the supply chain in academic institutions. And thankfully, we have validated 3 early adopters to prove the concept. Starting at Sandvex, St. Mary's has agreed to partner with us in September, and Dalhousie has in January 2022. Now, my proprietary recycling technologies put an end to the importing and exporting of plastic waste in Canada. We closed the logistical loop with a new recycled raw material for plastic manufacturers from institutions who pay to dispose of their plastic waste. And we create a circular economy between institutions and plastic manufacturers. My shredding, decontaminating, injecting, and extruding technologies repurpose plastic waste into a recycled plastic pellet that's suitable for my manufacturer's supply chain by separating all of the non-plastics, such as metals, cardboards, papers, glues, and labels, and dissolving the microbial, chemical, and oil impurities present in the waste stream with a complex enzyme mixture. So what happens right now? Well, manufacturers import plastic from all over the world, which is a significant financial and environmental cost. But now, they can buy recycled plastic pellets from Sandvex, as we can provide a clean feedstock of local plastic that's suitable for their supply chain. A local plastic manufacturing company, Neocon International, has expressed significant interest in buying pellets from Sandvex, and this will effectively cut the raw material cost in half. In addition, enable them to diversify their product offerings by using a recycled domestic material from a university. Now, our robust team of business professionals, engineers, chemists, and environmentalists are developing the commercialized decontamination technology to hit the volume that Sandvex has, as well as to satisfy our manufacturers' demand. So now I'm going to explain the partnership and how it's going to look like in action. So please ask questions as we go through. So this is the hierarchy. So this is the hierarchy that I've been proposed and in collaboration with Sean and Brendan. You'll see in the report the actual roles and responsibilities for the other roles. But in any event, so the VP Finance and Operations and the founder of DST, which is me, will work in collaboration to ensure that all the duties are met. Now, the Students' Union involvement includes 3 main positions: the DST Engagement and Logistics Coordinator, the DST Operations Coordinator, and the DST Product Development and Marketing Coordinator. They will primarily be responsible for making sure that the logistics of goods, operations, and marketing efforts are operating smoothly. And in addition, or I guess rather in short, the managerial and admin responsibilities for the initiative. But the primary operations, so what's going to be happening in the actual workspace, are going to be handled by 2 full-time employees to facilitate the day-to-day. So for the budget, we anticipate $28,000 in revenue next year, but I just want to note that this budget does not include the primary revenue stream, which is plastic pellets. And all of this has been validated with Ginger Fit from the Santa Vex bookstore, as well as multiple customer discovery interview surveys that we've sent. We've actually sent 4 out this year. So yeah, please bring on questions whenever you have them. And then for the outflow, now pessimistically speaking, we anticipate a $9,500 loss next year. But that's just next year, right? Like there's a lot of, rather a configuration period throughout the next year, and eventually we are going to be net positive, which will bring profits to the Students' Union as well as the company. Now, there are a few options to finance the loss, and the first is to, the company covers everything. The other is to split the costs between Santa Vex, the Student Union, and the company. And then there's a potential referenda that we're thinking of going through for applying a student levy. But again, that's to talk another time. So now I'm just going to walk you through the day-to-day. So I can provide context if you have questions, but essentially on Mondays, the plastic's going to be collected, and then the plastic's going to be sorted, shredded, and then decontaminated. From there, which would happen on a Tuesday, the plastic's going to dry overnight, and then go through the other process. And then on a Monday, as I've said, we're going to package and deliver to the bookstore, and then the operating space is going to be cleaned every night. You can see a little bit more context on the deliverables that were sent earlier. And just for a Tuesday, for example, the plastic's dried after it's been decontaminated with the machine, and then we use our injection machine, extrusion machine, then we mold the products, they rest and cool, and so on and so forth. So it kind of goes hand in hand each day, on and off. So this is the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So now just to provide some videos, just to put a bit of a visual on the actual process. So this is how the shredding machine works. So once it's shredded, then we actually weigh it so we can quantify how much we're taking out of the landfill every single day. So yeah, that's the shredding process. Pretty simple, and that's obviously after it's collected and then sorted. From there, this is just a very easy sketch of the decontamination machine, which actually has a provisional patent filed, which is super exciting, first of its kind in Canada. I'm pretty fired up to show all you when we can open up the workspace. So yeah, this basically breaks down all of the microbial chemical contaminants that are found in the current waste stream, and separates all of the non-plastic, so metals, cardboards, papers, and then essentially creates a clean plastic flake that's ready for any outsourcing process. Then from there, we use the injection machine, as I'll show you right here. So obviously they're sorted by type. Grab your plastic, it's number 5, for example. And you can find the types of plastic on the actual products. There's like a little number inside the recycling symbol, and that basically tells you which plastic it is. So yeah, then we sort it by type, grab your colors, pick the product that you want to make, then you set your temperature, and that's the injection machine. Super exciting, we actually moved our injection machine into the workspace today. And voila, one of the products that we can make out of 100% recycled plastic. And yeah, just an example of types of products we can make. And then finally, the extrusion machine, which we finally finished building today, actually. So obviously, after it's shredded, it's stored, like we said, by type, because there's different melting properties within the plastic, so you need to separate it, obviously. And you set your temperature. So there's just like a long beam, but you can actually make like benches, tables, chairs from this machine. So that's the bench, for example. Awesome. And so here are a couple of the mold designs that we have for St. FX branded products. So it's a coaster mold, for example. And that's how it would actually work in practice. So these were the machines a little while ago. They've actually drastically changed. They look a lot more exciting now, just to give you a visual. And then here's some of the products we can make. And here's some of the products we've been able to make, actually with a toaster oven, believe it or not, just to utilize our molds before we're able to get into our workshop. So how does the X community benefit? So to start, there's an academic, work integrated learning component. So we'll be able to provide students co-ops, internships, service learning placements, research and thesis opportunities, as well as real world experience through curriculum-based projects. And secondly, there's a measurable environmental impact that the student union can be a part of. And as I said, our attainable plastic supply is 600,000 pounds a year. And well, frankly, this number is not going down. It's happening every single year without question. And we have an opportunity to change this right now. And as I've said, a healthy environment is a healthy community. And finally, 100% sustainable products, because all of the products that we create are made out of 100% post-consumer plastic. Now, how does the student union benefit? Well, with this collaboration opportunity, we'll be able to pioneer vertically integrated recycling. And as I mentioned before, the solution is first of its kind. And we know that with the partnership and the benefits to the student union, we'll be able to reinforce the U's value and for your strategic plan, which includes sustainable, innovative practices. And as an additional bonus, we can boost your public relations against other institutions and student unions. Furthermore, we can innovate together. Now, these machines turn a current environmental cost into a green revenue stream. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's the fact of the matter. And that's not to mention the opportunity to innovate various types of products, because really the products are limitless. It's all subject to the mold. And I believe with the engineering help and the Department of Science partnership that we have, we can create products that have never been seen on the market right here at St. FX. And finally, student engagement. Now, this business already has traction in the engineering department because 10 students participated in their capstone project with the business. Liam McKinnon is working with me right now. He as the Director of Operations and Technology Development, and he was actually one of the students who worked with this capstone, and now he works with me full time. And Jill Hayden, she was a business student, and she works with me full time as the Director of Business Development and Digital Marketing. And both of these students are getting real world experience in a business and technology innovation startup, that really was student led from the start, and we really value that. And in addition, I think there's vast opportunities for volunteer initiatives for students, and we also plan to launch recycling competitions between the residences in the academic year. So I'd just like to highlight some of the milestones that the company has. So we've been able to raise $120,000 in capital for the business. We have 4 machines built and a provisional patent filed for the decontamination machine. 2 full-time staff, which are St. students. Again, really excited about that. We have a long-term partnership with St. Mary's, Dalhousie, and we're also a part of Ignite Innovation Hub, Amira Idea Hub, and then Volta Labs. We are officially compliant with the Department of Labor for occupational health and safety. I will say that was the hardest thing we've had to do, but wow, is it ever going to be worth it? And we're actually 2 weeks away from fully operating, and we're going to be shredding plastic in our workspace this week. So what are the next steps of the ad hoc committee? So we're going to create a master budget, further to what I've already presented. We're going to draft a partnership agreement that's vetted by the Students' Union Legal Counsel. We're going to be presenting an onboarding and training package, define the student reps, as well as the residents' roles and responsibilities, and then present the transition plan for August and the succession plan for the next few years. And I just thought I'd mention that next council meeting in July, we're going to be presenting the official partnership request. So some of the key opportunities are partnering with the Students' Union. I will say that's probably the most exciting one. Start NS and ICTC for employment funding. That's to actually, hire students for the longevity of the business. My tax and lab to market, more funding for students, which is super exciting. I'm doing a master's at SMU, which directly correlates with this initiative. St. SMU, DAL, CBU, and UPEI are all conducting research on plastic recycling. And there's also a partnership opportunity with either Ingenuity, the Nova Scotia Product Design and Development Center, and or the Sharon Center, and this is all to commercialize the decontamination technology. And finally, Divert Nova Scotia R&D program, which they'll be able to match the capital raised to scale the business. Now, I don't want you to laugh, but the way I see that this solution works is really kind of encapsulated in an analogy. So I want you to think of the plastic crisis like an overflowing tap. Now, all environmental efforts right now for recycling, they are just buying mops to keep the floor dry, but they're letting the tap overflow consistently. But DST, or Recircle, we're actually turning the tap off. We don't use a truck, we don't have a landfill station, we don't have a transfer station, and we don't have a landfill. We do everything on site. We don't let plastic enter the landfill or the ocean because our time's up. We have no more time. And the Canadian government wants to reach a zero plastic waste economy by 2030. And this is the first step. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Adam? Awesome. All right, McKenzie, feel free to get started.
I was just wondering, where is your workplace now, and how do you get the plastic from where it's being collected to your workplace?
Yeah, so the workspace is actually in a facilities management building. It's right across from the KMC on the number 7. It's a big gray building. And as of right now, we have plastic dropped off. But for next year, we're going to be collecting it from the campus and then have it delivered to the workspace. And I'll be able to show everybody around once we're actually operating, so that'd be great.
Awesome, that sounds exciting. Anybody else with any questions? All right, Jack, feel free to go ahead.
Hey, Adam. Not really a question, honestly. Just it's really nice to see all the progress you've made since the last time you presented to council. I think that was back in March or April. So it's just nice to see kind of the progress you've kind of made since then, and looking forward to hopefully checking out the spot when we get to that point. So thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Jack.
All right, any more questions for Adam? All right, well, thank you so much for coming in today, Adam. I know we all really liked your presentation. Never mind, Ben has a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I was so indecisive. I didn't know.
Invite them. Bring it on.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Adam, I'm just wondering. I'm wondering about your partnership so far with SMU and Dell. How did that go down? Speaking with their union, and what kind of partnership did you guys decide on? In terms of the 3 that you laid out for us today.
yeah, so basically what's going to happen is very similar to what's happening here. It's the university is helping with the overhead as well as the lease agreement to actually operate on the campus. And then once we actually find space, because that's the only in-between right now, is the student union at each of the schools, so SMU and DAL, are going to be assisting in the managerial aspects while I handle the operations to prove the concept. But as as I want to just make extremely clear is that, the Ghana opportunity came from St. FX. I'm obviously an ex-grad, and I'm unbelievably loyal to St. FX, and I want the St. FX Students Union to be the one to pioneer this with me first. So yeah, that's kind of how it's going to work.
Thanks a bunch for that answer.
All right, Drew, feel free to go ahead.
Thanks, Adam. Welcome back. It was amazing, what great interview. But I don't actually have a question, but it can be a more kind of suggestion. I don't know if you are following up with EBC lately, but Antigonish is said to be the first net zero emission for carbon, in Canada town. So it would certainly help you to promote your stuff because it's also eco-friendly. And you might also want to connect with town and county because they would be able to help you with that as well.
Yeah, no, Drew, thanks, man. I've actually been in collaboration with the two people who are like forefronting that initiative. And we're just kind of working out how that's going to look in terms of their compensation or in kind. But yeah, no, I'm very intimately involved with that. So thank you.
No problem.
All right, we're just going to go from Tiana and then to Meredith, and due to the interest of time, we're going to move forward after these last two questions, if that's all right. Awesome. Tiana, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Thank you for the presentation. It sounds really like, it's really important work. I just had a question about, you said you have people already interested in buying these plastics from you and trying to sell it off, whatever it is they do. Do you see that demand going up? The more work is being put in, the more you do outreach and get funding and stuff. Do you see that demand going up and maybe exceeding what you planned?
When you say, well, to answer your first part, will the demand go up? Yes. And that's been validated from a lot of customer interviews that we've had. Really, they're just waiting for us to be fully operational, and it's just going to start, which is super great. When you say exceeding what I anticipated, what do you mean?
Like more, really, what's your, ideally, where do you see this going?
Yeah, so I'm going to be licensing the whole package, so start to finish, all the machines, the operations manual, the whole safety assessment, the intellectual property to academic institutions to start, and then furthermore, the actual target market after that is large campus ecosystems, so military camps, indigenous communities, hospitals, malls, corporate sectors. That's really the aftermarket once I prove the concept with academic institutions acting as the early adopter. But the core concept is to ensure that no plastic gets on a truck without it being sold. So it has no opportunity to get onto get into a landfill or on a truck, then have it baled and then shipped overseas and then eventually into our country or to the oceans, because that's really the problem right now. And the sooner we're able to recycle the plastic once it leaves someone's hand, the better chances we are about saving the environment and also creating value from plastic. So after, academic institutions, then the other large campus ecosystems is kind of the idea.
Yeah,
the plastic isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, thank you. That sounds really well, really good. Thank you.
Meredith, if you would like to go forward.
Yeah, Hey, Adam, thanks for your presentation. I was just wondering, and this might come with like more detailed proposals at the next council meeting, if you had like any plans to make a contract or some kind of document that would outline like the specific supports and expectations that we could expect from you when you go to SMU, like just the kind of ways you're going to help us run this thing coming fall.
Yeah, 100%. I've actually, the first 2 iterations of the contract I've actually drafted, and it'll be refined with the legal counsel of the Students' Union, with Sean, with Brendan, with the university. So I'll be presenting the final one starting at our next council meeting. But yeah, don't worry. I know I'm going to SMU, but I'm not going anywhere. This is the baby. This is the mold. This is where it all starts. So I'll be here. And also, thanks for, listening to me, everybody, and fingers crossed. This is an exciting opportunity, and I'd love to collaborate with you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. All right, folks, we're going to keep moving forward just because we still have quite a bit to do. Thank you so much for coming in today, Adam. Super interesting. All right. So one last presentation that's going to come from B-Rob. If you'd like to go and begin your Health and Dental Plan Committee update.
Awesome. So yeah, again, this is just kind of more of an update than too much of a formal presentation. But I'm just bringing an update from the Health and Dental Plan Committee. So we met once formally as an entire committee, so counselors and everyone. And then myself, Sean, and Juliana have been meeting with our provider, Galavan, who coordinates our insurance for students for us. So we've been kind of meeting with them over the past few weeks a bit, just to kind of see where we want our plan to, what we want our plan to look like for next year and for the next few years. So we reviewed some of the trends that we've noticed over the past few years. So I'll highlight a couple of those. The biggest one is that last year, the students who were on our health and dental plan really were utilizing that plan. And maybe I should clarify. So all students are given the opportunity to opt in or opt out of the health and dental plan, but students are automatically assumed that they will be on that plan unless they opt out otherwise. So it's really just to ensure that all students have health and dental care coverage when they're in university. So back to kind of where I was. So last year, more students than on average have utilized that plan, which is really another way of saying that it was costing Galavan more than what we were paying them. So the issue with that is Galavan, really, there's 2 solutions to that. So the first is either raise fees or cut the plan. And we went for a bit of a joint approach to that. And that's just something, we can't not raise the fees or cut the plan. You have to do one or the other. Otherwise, Galavan will just, they'll just say no, right? So we have to either meet in the middle somewhere or we're going to find someone else. So we chose to meet in the middle. So I will just share my screen quick just to show you all just what exactly those were. Here. So what our plan, so there's 3 big changes that we are going to be proposing to Galavan officially. And we just kind of wanted to get any feedback from you guys. So if anyone has any questions or comments on these changes, feel free to let us know. So one of the big changes, so there's 2 changes to the health plan, 1 to the dental. So the first big change to the health plan is that drug coinsurance will drop from 85% of coverage to 80% coverage. So what that really means is prescription drug costs that were previously covered at 85% of the cost will now be covered at 80%. So if you had a $100 prescription and you went to pay for it at the pharmacy, last year you would have paid last year $85 would have been covered. This year $80 will be covered. And we kind of went with that approach just because we found that the amount that the rate would be impacted was more than the dollar amount that it would be saving. So we actually saved $6.36 per student by doing that. And that was one of the changes that we decided to make. So then the second one is paramedical coinsurance. So paramedical coinsurance, very similar to drug coinsurance. So that's just things like ambulance coverage and anything like that that's just kind of falls outside of the normal healthcare coverage. So that's going to drop from 100% coverage to 90%. And then just on the dental, so basically basic, endo, and perio, I believe those are just basic, not necessarily cleanings, but just basic care and non-invasive surgeries. So things like, I can't remember what they're called. They put it on your teeth, veneers or something like that. That would be something that's covered under that. So that's dropping from 80% to 75%. And then just here to note that preventative care, which would be things like cleanings, remains at 90%. So really, just to summarize what this means, is we're just dropping the percentage of coverage by a bit on each of these things, just because we found those to save us the most amount of money here on the impact that it'll have on the total cost for students. And the big thing for us with that is we just found that, sorry to stop presenting, is that students, instead of charging students an extra however many dollars, so it was going to be about $50, $60 per student, if we just charge them the increased fee. And we just decided that that's going to be too much for students. So instead, maybe a student has to pay that extra $5 per prescription. But at the end of the day, that's saving money on the total plan coverage per student. So we found that that was the best route. And then also we are going to be raising the health and dental plan fees. Just so originally we're going to be increasing the fee by about $20. And then we're also saving $20 from these reductions. So it's about a $40 saving or increase, however you kind of want to look at that. But one other important thing to note is there are no fee increases for international students, which there have been the past few years. But we know that especially this year, international students are facing a lot of increased fees. So we wanted to make sure that it's international students are kind of at the forefront of this plan, because a lot of international students do opt into this plan. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of this. Those three major changes are kind of what we're going to be seeing for next year for students, and then also about a $15 to $20 increase. We're still going to be talking with Galavan a bit just to figure out exactly what the dollar amount is, but I'll give you an update on that when that comes. But yeah, so does anyone have any questions, comments on the health and dental plan in general or on those changes? Yeah, Mayor?
B-Rob, if students used it a bit less this year and there was more money, could we next year increase the coverage?
Yeah. So this is something that is it's always ongoing. So the Health and Dental Plan Committee we will be, I mean, not right now, but in normal times we meet usually once every week or bi-weekly. And usually there is a plan renewal process. So every year we relook at the plan, and Galavan gives us it's usually about a 15-page document, and it outlines the trends that we saw this year. So for example, this year, students were more students were diagnosed with depression this year than in previous years and things. So there's lots of different trends that we can see. So we can always make adjustments to the plan. But what we've noticed in the past is the plan every year has been increasing. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to cut it by enough, but also increase the fee enough so that hopefully going forward, probably for the next 3 years, we won't have to increase the plan.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Tiffany? Yeah, Tiffany?
Yeah, so I was wondering how these changes will be made known to students, and if there's any idea to get students' ideas on it.
Yeah. So we do So to answer your question for the first part, are these changes going to be made to students? Galavan always helps us with promotion and marketing of the entire plan as a whole, which is great because they work with our marketing team to market all of the plan and all that it offers. I do want to one thing I actually want to try and make more clear this year, so that is just maybe somewhere on Instagram or just something very clear, like what the coverage is for students for different things. I think that would be beneficial, just so you can kind of go take a look, like, oh, this is how much drug prescription coverage I have or whatever. So things like that I think would be beneficial. And then, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
So is there any way to get like feedback from students on what they think about this?
Yeah. So we do try to consult with students. We do have students at large on the Health and Dental Plan Committee, so that we try to make sure that we're bringing in student voices. I mean, part of the fee increase or decrease or however you want to call it, it has to be done. So we're really just trying to do the things that are going to cost the least amount to students, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to make sure that we're saving students as much money as possible and making sure that students can keep as much money in their pocket as we can. But we do consult with students through the committee.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, comments? Awesome. All right, then I will pass it back off to Naomi. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you, Brendan. We do not have any old business on the agenda, so we're going to move forward to new business. So these are going to be our ratifications today. Sorry, I'm just getting my little thing ready. All right.
Ratify Brandon Malloy as faculty advisor.
All right, and can I get a second on that, please?
I second.
All right, thank you, McKenzie. Would anybody who sat on, there was no hiring panel. I'm going to speak to why I think Brandon Malloy should be hired. Actually, can I do that? Sorry, point of order. Maybe I'll ask someone who has worked with Brandon Malloy in the past. Ben, would you like to talk about Brandon Malloy's qualifications on becoming our faculty advisor?
Yeah, I can speak to having had B. Malloy as my teacher for econ throughout the years, and I've found that he's just an unbelievable teacher, and I found that he's one of the people that's reached out most as a member of the faculty and really strived to help me in the past. I can't, having not gone through an actual hiring panel or interview with Malloy, I can just say from my own personal experience, there was times where I was really, really interested in doing research into healthcare, and Brandon would take time out of his day to go and look for books for me and send different sources to my email. He was always there, really just a helpful guy, really kind, supportive of students, and just understanding. He's a really good listener as well. He was one of the main teachers professors, that throughout my time at X, I've always felt like I can just go to their office, sit down, have a chat. I find that super important and a great characteristic to have in anybody. So I would definitely say yes to Brandon. That's about it from me. Cheers.
Awesome, thank you, Ben. Yeah, sorry, I realized I don't have the applications up to see who actually put his name forward, but his name was put forward by a couple of members of the Representative Council. All right, would somebody like to call the question, please?
I call the question.
All right. All those who would like to oppose the motion to ratify Brandon Malloy as faculty advisors, please raise your placards now. All right. All those who would like to abstain from ratifying Brandon Malloy as faculty advisor, please raise your placards now. All right. And both Anna and Hunter gave me their proxy votes to vote in favor. So the motion passes unanimously. Brandon Malloy is our new faculty advisor. Unfortunately, he cannot be here tonight because of our reschedule. So hopefully we will be seeing him on July 18th. All right. Our next motion on the agenda will be the ratification of Society Coordinator Anna Payson. If somebody would like to introduce this motion.
I motion to ratify Anna Payson as society coordinator.
Awesome, thank you. Would somebody like to second, please?
I second that motion.
Awesome, thank you, Tiana. Would somebody who sat on the hiring panel like to discuss why she was selected?
I can speak to Anna. I sat on the hiring panel. Anna was a very strong applicant. She seems very organized and very invested in societies and how they can function with the Students' Union and with the university, and kind of just help with academics and also just the involvement of people on campus with a whole bunch of different fun ideas for just more involvement and kind of bringing societies to light and what they do and how you can meet people. Yeah, she's really great, and I'm really excited to have her as society coordinator.
Awesome, thank you. All right. Would someone like to call the question, please, then?
I call the question.
All right, thank you, Meredith. All right. Okay. All those opposed to ratify Society Coordinator Anna Payson, please raise your placards now. Well, I guess raise your hands. All right. Any of those who would like to abstain, please raise your placards now. All right. And Drew, not Hunter, and Anna have given me their proxy votes to also vote in favor. So the motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to the next ratification. All right. This will be the ratification of House Accounts Coordinator Samuel Delaney. Would someone like to introduce the motion?
I move to ratify Sam Delaney as House Accounts Coordinator.
Awesome, thank you. And can I get a second on that?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Tiana. All right, any discussion from those on his hiring panel? Brendan? Oh, somebody needs to yield the floor to Brendan.
Yeah, I will yield the floor to Brendan.
Thank you.
Thank you,
awesome,
everyone. Sam's interview was really, really great. He was the House Accounts Coordinator last year, so consistency in roles is always really nice. He's also doing co-ops in different accounting firms, and he has been, so he's pretty much a accountant. So I don't know, he couldn't really have anyone better to do house accounts than a real accountant. So I think he did a great job last year, and he'll do a great job this year, hopefully. So
awesome. Thank you, Brendan. All right. Would someone like to call the question, please?
I will call the question.
Thank you, Jack. All right. The motion is on the table to ratify House Accounts Coordinator Sam Delaney. All those opposed, please raise your placards now. All right, and all those who would like to abstain, please raise your placards now. All right, the motion passes unanimously as Hunter and Anna have given their votes in favor. All right, just two more ratifications, everyone. All right, the last ratification will be, the second last, will be of Research and Policy Associate Evan Fortin. If somebody would like to introduce the motion.
I move to ratify Evan Fortin as Research and Policy Associate.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Would someone like to second?
I second the motion.
All right. And would somebody on his hiring panel like to speak to his ratification? Somebody might have to yield time to Ben if that's all right.
Yield time to Ben.
Awesome. Thank you. Ben, if you would like to speak on the selection of Evan.
Yeah, I'd love to speak on that. So Evan was a great candidate and had a great interview with us in the hiring panel back on Monday. So the things that really stood out to us in comparison really throughout his interview, he was very vocal about the experience that he'd had in the past. I don't have my notes in front of me. I left them at the office, but he was working with the Center for Youth Employment as an intern throughout their program. So he had he also had experience on the external advisory committee last year. So he brought a lot of first off experience to the table. Also a big was like a big student in political science, and he said he was very interested in that background and really working to develop like strong policy plans, which is a really integral part of this position. He had a lot of great answers about how his role is really to remain like nonpartisan between like different government groups. He probably had the best answer that we heard, which is really like you need to be accepting of ideas and different plans, like no matter who's saying them and where they're coming from. So he really wants to look for the best in all ideas and the best in all different people, and that was something that we really appreciated on the panel. And yeah, I think that those are just a few of the reasons why Evan would make a great research and policy associate. So yeah, thanks for yielding me time as well, Jack.
Thank you, Ben. All right, if someone would like to call the question.
I move to call the question.
Awesome, thank you so much, Tiana. All right, the motion is on the table to ratify Research and Policy Associate Evan Fortin. All those opposed, please raise your placards now. All right, and all those who would like to abstain, please raise your placards now. All right, Hunter and Anna have also chosen to vote in favor, so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Okay, last one. Thank you so much for being so patient today, everybody. Ratification of off-campus leaders Kaylee and Tiana Kamuri. If someone would like to introduce the motion.
I move to ratify Kaylee and Tiana Kamuri as off-campus leaders.
All right, thank you so much. And a second from Dhruv? Or is that a question?
I second. I just want to say that it's Hina Kumari and not Hannah Kumari, something like that.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Hina Kumari.
All right. Dhruv seconds the motion. Would somebody like to speak on their interviews today? All right, Darren, if you'd like to speak.
Yeah, I can speak. Or like I was going to give it to Sophia too, but like I guess I will go. Never mind. All right. So both candidates were like very good, especially like they had a very good balance. Also like me, like I was like off-campus leader last year, so it was nice to like be on that panel for like having like an experience from it. So Kaylee used to be also in the residences. I guess she was a RA, as I remember. Sorry, I don't have my notes here. That's why I'm not sure. But like, she really had like good experience with the residences, like the events and everything. And same as like Hina, she's like she doesn't have like any residence experience yet, but however, she's like also been through like many event plannings and stuff back where she studied previously. So they seem like a very good balanced people, like for like events and more like professional wise work. So I believe like they both will do a very great job on that. So that's all. I don't know. I guess Sophia can also add more information on it. I don't know. I don't have my notes here. That's why.
Thank you, Darren. Awesome. Yeah. All right. If someone would like to call the question, I think that was a really good explanation. But yeah, if somebody would like to call the question.
I call the question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. The motion is on the table for the ratification of off-campus leaders Kaylee and Hina Kamuri. All opposed, please raise your placards now. All right. And all those who would like to abstain, please raise your placards now. All right, Hunter and Anna have also given me their proxy votes to vote in favor as well. So the motion passes unanimously. All right, everyone. Woo! Okay. It looks like we are done for our little ratifications, etc. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and for being so patient. I know it was a behemoth of a session today. Please go enjoy the rest of your day, evening, wherever it is where you are. Dhruv, do you have your hand up?
No, it was my mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I just thought I would ask. All right. So if somebody would like to a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:56 p.m.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Or do we have to vote on that one? Honestly, I don't remember. I'm tired. All right, okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I think that's it for me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we're good to go. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Big
everybody.
happy night. Don't forget, Canadian team in the NHL playoffs.